ones that was let out OJC.
That is who is believed to be one of the escaped New Orleans inmates. He's not hiding from the spotlight. Instead, he's going live on social media as law enforcement across multiple states work to find him. Antoine Massey spoke for more than 9 minutes in a video that has now been shared across social media and has law enforcement's attention.
I'm asking for help from the world, from Meek Mills, Lil Wayne, Young Boy, Donald Trump. I'm asking for these people.
Massey says he didn't break out of jail, he was let out of jail. And not only is he calling for celebrities and even the President of the United States to help him, he's claiming his innocence, as he and a convicted murderer are now the last two on the run since that jailbreak more than 2 weeks ago. We're on the case presented by Law&Crime. I'm Chris Stewart. If you thought someone who escaped from jail and became one of the most wanted men in America would shy away from attention and the spotlight and the public eye, think again.
They say that I broke out. I didn't break out. I was let out. My name is Antoine Massey.
This is the more than 9-minute video that was posted to social media of who appears to be Antoine Massey. We say it appears to be Antoine Massey because at this point, law enforcement has yet to officially verify that it is him. The video was first posted to Instagram as a live, but since it has gone viral and it has been shared across several social media platforms, we found it on X because it's been deleted from the account that first posted it. Massey is facing charges in Orleans Parish for domestic abuse and theft. He's also accused of rape and kidnapping in a parish that is north of New Orleans. In the video, Massey claims the allegations against him, though, are false.
It's not different females, it's the same grown woman, not a child, a grown woman. Okay, she did the same thing in Orleans Parish, right? Correct. I'm about to show you how the system is corrupted. Okay, she did this, right? Saying all allegations against me is false. And she even saying it, you know, she let her know the truth, that I never did this to her. I never hit her. I was nowhere around her, nothing. She got mad and thought that I was dealing with another woman. That's why she did what she did to me.
Massey then goes on to claim that not only is he innocent, but that he needs the help of some big names, including Donald Trump.
People that know me know that at the end of the day, I am a good person. So I'm asking for help from the world, from Meek Mills, Lil Wayne, Young Boy, Donald Trump. I'm asking for these people. I couldn't even get a lawyer. I couldn't even afford a lawyer to prove my innocence while I was in Orleans Parish jail. They say that I broke out. I didn't break out. I was let out.
So let's break down what Massey allegedly just said there. Because he said he didn't break out of jail, he was let out of jail. I'll remind you with this now infamous picture that here's the hole that the 10 inmates went through to get out, according to the Orleans Parish Sheriff's Office, which runs the jail, which is right in the heart of New Orleans. The now infamous picture shows the toilet ripped out of the wall, revealing a hole behind it, and the parting words for the sheriff that read, quote, "Too easy, LOL." The local sheriff says part of the reason that Massey and the other inmates could escape was because of the help of this man, Sterling Williams. He was a maintenance worker at the jail. The sheriff said he turned off the water, allowing the inmates to move the toilet and not bring attention to themselves. Williams told investigators an inmate threatened to shank him if he didn't turn the water off, and Williams said that inmate was Antoine Massey. Here is what Massey allegedly said about that in the Instagram Live.
The guy who said that I threatened him with a shank, the maintenance guy, how could I threaten you with a shank? You can't come around me. You're a maintenance. You cannot come on the tills without a deputy being behind you. Because if they just let you on the till, you could be persuaded to bring drugs or anything like that in that nature. So how can I threaten you to jail you? And why you didn't notify the people, the police, that if I did threaten you, you never did that. Like, you flat out lied on me. Sterling flat out lied on me. And I want to let the media know that from the straight tattoos in my face and things of that nature, of course they're going to believe Sterling. You know what I'm saying? I never told Sterling nothing. I'm willing to take a lie detector test and everything behind that. But that's another subject. Orleans Parish is one of the corruptedest jails. That and St. Tammany Parish is the corruptedest jails in the state of Louisiana.
Williams is now in custody. He is facing 10 counts for allegedly helping the inmates escape. Massey's sister is also facing charges for allegedly helping her brother. This is the mugshot for 31-year-old Deshani Massey. She is the 14th person charged in connection to the jailbreak. WVUE, a TV station in New Orleans, reports that Massey's love interest also has a warrant out for her arrest, but it's not clear what her name is. Massey is one of 2 inmates at the time of this recording, still at large. The other man is Derek Groves. In 2024, Groves was found guilty on 2 counts of murder and 2 counts of attempted murder for shootings that happened on Mardi Gras in 2018. This is a picture of the then district attorney after the verdict. Now, as for the other inmates seen running free from the Orleans Parish Justice Center, 8 are now back in custody, but they have all been taken to different facilities in Louisiana, according to the Louisiana State Police. 2 of the inmates who were captured were found in Texas, in a rural town north of Houston, 377 miles from New Orleans. Here's a video that police in Huntsville, Texas posted of them trying to stop these inmates.
Going back southbound 19.
Clear back southbound on 19.
Sorry, southbound from 2nd Avenue.
That's clear from St. Vincent Avenue.
Eventually, police cornered the inmates on the side of the road, and here's the body cam video of officers taking those inmates back into custody.
Go with them.
Got hands if everybody can hold them.
Jumbo, good hands. Shut up. Unlock the door with your right hand. Crawl to, no, Jumbo, back up. Crawl to him.
Put him in the car. Put him in the car. All the way out.
Crawl. Backseat's clear. Slow everybody down.
And here are pictures that the Huntsville Police Department put out of those 2 escapees who led them on that high-speed chase, Leo Tate and Jermaine Donald. Donald is the man in the white shirt. He was in jail on a charge of 2nd-degree murder. Tate's original charge was obstruction of justice. They both are now facing additional charges for the escape and leading police on that chase. Law enforcement is now offering $50,000 as a reward for tips leading to the capture of those 2 inmates, including Antoine Massey, who posted that video on social media. And at the end of that more than 9-minute video, Massey once again tried to call out big-name celebrities and the president to help him. He also said, "When I get back in custody," suggesting he knows it is just a matter of time until he is back behind bars.
So I'm asking please for help. Young Boy, Meek Mills, people, LBL, you know what I'm saying? People that been through the system that know it's corrupt. Lil Wayne, Donald Trump, please, I'm asking for help. You know what I'm saying? When I get back in custody, I'm asking y'all please to come and help me.
Joining us now to talk about this case is prison consultant Justin Paperny. Always great to have you on Law and Crime. What do you make of Antoine Massey going on Instagram Live and talking for 9.5 minutes?
It's a bold move. Typically, you'd think you'd be on the run, trying to get out of the country, summoning resources off the grid. Instead, he's using this platform to do what so many prisoners do, which is advocate for their freedom, or really justify why he should have left the prison, justify why he shouldn't go back. So unfortunately, it won't end well for him. I think he knows that. At least he's trying to get this message out there that he shouldn't be in prison, and maybe he'll get lucky and summon some support along the way. But it's not something I would have encouraged him to do. He did not think it through.
No, and I think of even if he's saying the charges that he's facing, which are in 2 parishes in New Orleans, that they were going to be dropped, and that the woman who had accused him of rape and kidnapping, that she ended up saying that that wasn't the case. It's unclear whether he would be guilty of that or not. But even if, let's just say he was innocent, he went through the hole, he escaped. What type of punishment could he face now that eventually, I mean, even in his video, he said, when I'm back in custody. So it seems like he knows it's coming. But what's the reality for him once he is caught?
Well, at this point, he knows people are getting arrested who have enabled people who escaped. He doesn't have resources or they're running out. So he knows it's a matter of time. So at this point, he's like, I might as well go all in and try to get my message across. They said in that press release where he says, I was let out, which is incredible. In that press release, the government said there could be fewer charges if you turn yourself back in. So as a result of him doubling and tripling down, something that could have been a handful of more years in prison can now be 5 or 10 years. They're going to investigate everything that he has done since escaping. Have there been more crimes committed? So something that maybe could have been 3 or 4 years could turn out to be an additional 10, 15 years on his sentence in a higher security prison with fewer resources and privileges, which is why it's very dangerous when people escape. They're vulnerable, they lack resources. The longer they're on the run, the worse it is. So it could compel him to make some really bad decisions. Because I can tell you one thing from that video, he doesn't think he should be in prison. And that tells me he's compelled to do whatever he can to not go back.
Yeah, and his sister has been charged. She's facing a charge that she's alleged to have helped him in some way when he got out. There are, at this time, I believe, 14 people who have been charged since this jailbreak, people who have assisted, according to authorities, these 10 inmates escaped. Does that surprise you that it's that many people? What does that tell you? That 14 people, at least, were allegedly involved in this jailbreak?
Doesn't surprise me at all. There will be more, and you'll hear some of the people arrested. Their lawyers will make arguments that will say these were violent criminals who escaped. They did it out of fear, and they had no choice but to help. These are violent criminals. Other cases, people will plead guilty, and it will be loyalty. They felt loyalty to this person as a family member. They couldn't say no. They knew that it was wrong, and as a consequence, they're going to be convicted. I don't know if they'll go to prison. It will depend on their actual conduct and how openly they are about accepting responsibility. But you can expect defense attorneys to say they were cajoled and had no choice. They feared for their life. Others will say, I flat out did it. It's my brother. It was my cousin. I wanted to help. But yes, I expect there to be more.
Yeah, and it's, I remember the last time we talked, I think it was just before Sterling Williams, the maintenance man, who was the first person to be charged, the person who allegedly turned off the water to allow them to move the toilet without being detected and then opening up the hole. What did you make of Antoine Massey when you hear the term, I didn't break out, I was let out?
Well, it's one continuous justification or excuse, because even if someone opened a hole or a window for him, he is serving a sentence. He knows that he's not allowed to leave. So the unfortunate part of that video is none of it is his fault. He was wrongly accused, wrongly convicted. They let him out of that prison. And it's kind of part and parcel to how some people serve time in prison. It's not their fault. Most accept responsibility, want to build, want to prepare, get on with their life, prove worthy of a second chance. Others, like this individual, of course, continue to play the victim, which is why I say it's easier to be in prison if you know you did it. I served 1 year. It was easier because I did it. If he doesn't think he did anything wrong and he thinks he's being imprisoned unfairly, unjustly, that can compel him to do some crazy things, if only to ensure he doesn't go back. But he's playing the victim. That's all it is.
And for you, having had experience being incarcerated, because I do think you hear people who, even though, and he believes that he's innocent of these charges. I mean, what's the mindset of a lot of people who are held in jail where even if there is a lot of evidence they did something, I'm not sure in Antoine Massey's case, but how often is it that an inmate can just kind of justify themselves that they shouldn't be behind bars?
Look, I would argue the majority of people, even those convicted at trial or who plead guilty, don't necessarily agree with the government's version of events. It can be one-sided. A prosecutor is looking to advance their career, their agenda. I can understand that. Most people will say parts of it are true, and the reason I pled guilty is because I crossed the line. That's why serving time in prison, if you accept responsibility, is easier because you understand there's a consequence. Now, you can argue how long should the prison term be and what should the consequence be. It's lifelong if you're a convicted criminal. If you don't think you did it, every day in prison can feel like a year. And you don't pursue any opportunities for growth or greatness or progress or finding meaning through the journey. It's, I'm a victim, I shouldn't be here, which is why when he found an opportunity to escape, he seized it because he doesn't think that he should be in prison. And he certainly wasn't considering the consequences that would follow escaping because he's a victim. He shouldn't be there anyway. So he had convinced himself he had been wronged, which tells me you find opportunities to get out. And apparently, he found one, and it's going to end badly for him. I just pray that no one gets hurt or killed and no more people get arrested for enabling him or feeling some sense of loyalty to him. He's beginning to destroy more people's lives.
Because when I look at the Instagram video, what you realize is as it went viral, you're kind of watching it, and it's a video of a video is the one that was posted. So that original live was sent somewhere and then someone puts it out. I know you're not a cybersecurity expert, but what type of evidence now, type of clue could the marshals, the Louisiana State Police, could they have, or any of the other states that are looking for these inmates have with the information that could come from an Instagram account?
They're going to get the information through subpoenas, through searches. They're getting it. The state has been embarrassed. This is an embarrassing breakdown for them. Breakdown in protocol, officers not being trained properly, several hours until they even learned these prisoners had escaped. It has been an embarrassment. So while corrections are cutting staff and resources in this Doge economy, they are going all in on this investigation to ensure it doesn't happen again. They're going to reverse engineer, deconstruct these timelines. And I can assure you, any and all who enabled that Instagram video, they're going to find them and they're going to be held accountable. And essentially, they're a conspirator with them. They're enabling this conduct rather than doing the right thing. I see the reward is up to like 50 grand at this point. That's a lot of money. I'm surprised someone hasn't taken that reward and turned them in, unless it's the loyalty factor or they are concerned for their life.
You work in prisons, you look at the prison system. In this case, it was a jail. It's been, we're in the third week now since these inmates escaped. What if there is one thing beyond maybe the headlines that people aren't talking about that really shocked you when you saw this play out?
People blame this whole, that's the visible problem. The invisible problem is this culture of corrections in this country. We warehouse a lot of people on the inside. There's very little programming, not enough mental health training. People who work in prisons can be vulnerable. They can be exploited. They can be manipulated. And if they aren't following protocols, if they too are not getting this mental health training, it is very difficult to work in a prison. I mean, think about someone who chooses to become a case manager or warden or a guard. That is a hard life in communities that can be poor. They're not making a lot of money. It can be a hard life. So it wasn't the whole that led to this problem. It's the policies and procedures that were not followed and staff not being trained properly. And also when these things happen, it is a culture. It is the tone at the top. It's blaming, it's excusing, blaming other agencies. And things would finally get better if someone took responsibility and said, this is my fault. I own it. Here's how we're going to do better and share this progress prudently with transparency. Until then, these things are going to continue to happen.
Because it does seem just the fallout has been the governor of Louisiana has been very critical of the sheriff of Orleans Parish who runs the jail. And the sheriff of Orleans Parish has said she doesn't have the money to upgrade the jail for millions of dollars. What is your analysis if you kind of look at that back and forth that's happened since this jailbreak?
None of those statements from the sheriff or the governor or anyone gets closer to ensuring this doesn't happen again. It is an excuse. It's a cop-out, to use some prison parlance. It's not their fault. They're concerned about how they're perceived in the community, getting reelected, and it's just easier to blame instead of showing leadership. Look at Tylenol back in like 82 when some of these pills were poisoned. They shut them down. They got them off all the shelves across the country. Their brand was never stronger because of how they responded. They respond poorly. They think in the moment, very short-sighted. I don't want this to hurt me, rather than showing leadership. And it's the reason 3 months, 6 months, 3 years, we're going to be back on the air talking about someone that escaped, people in the community getting hurt and scared, victims getting re-victimized again, because no one is able to step up and say, it's my fault. Here is how we are going to fix it.
At the time of this recording, Derek Groves is the other person who is still at large. He was convicted of a double murder in 2024. It was related to a shooting on Mardi Gras in 2018. Why is someone like Derek Groves, and I know it's because he was waiting sentencing, but why was he being held in a county jail, a parish? I know in Louisiana that's what they call them, but ultimately a county jail, when this is someone who's been convicted of as serious a crime as there can be, and he was able to escape and he's still at large.
The prosecutors or the sheriffs would tell you we've had many other people in this jail convicted of murder who never escaped for a very long period of time. So it's worked previously. There might not have been another jail close by to hold him. You could have had a judge who thought that was the right prison for him. So certainly you can make the argument, convicted of murder, perhaps you should be held in isolation or segregation, not be able to be around any other prisoner so this sort of thing can happen. The real problem is the protocols inside of the prison and allowing these things to happen. And you can certainly house someone in a jail, even if convicted of murder. It might require more scrutiny, more oversight, but they had been successful, they would claim, for a while, which gave them no reason to think that success wouldn't continue. That's very scary that he could still be out there for that sort of crime. And I have such empathy for people in the community, people that he hurt, who are wondering 24 hours a day, is he here? Who's helping him? Is he going to find us? And all resources need to be spent on finding these two people, bringing them back to prison and holding them accountable. And then once they do that, hold the people accountable who allowed this to happen.
When you look at the situation in Orleans Parish, and you did have the sheriff saying that they need millions of dollars to upgrade the facility, and it does, just from the pictures that we've seen in the video, we see that it wasn't a facility, it appears, that was in great shape. But how does the situation in Orleans Parish compare to other jails that you have seen across the country?
A lot of these jails in these cities, they're broken down, they're dilapidated. They look like Wadsworth Jail in London that was built in 1851. They should be torn down. Okay, they are not safe. Even prisoners who are compliant, that the food is no good. They can maybe shower or shave once a week. It is a very unhealthy living environment. It is old and broken. And I agree, they have very few resources to fix it up. And people would argue, why would we even fix it up for people in prison? Because they're a law-abiding citizen who need these resources even more. So that prison, I've seen photos, it looks a lot like a prison you'd see in state prison in Nevada or a county jail in Northern California. These are what these broke down prisons look like, and they don't have the resources to fix it, which leads to a terrible living situation for the prisoner. And I know a lot of people don't care about that because they're in jail, but it also makes it harder for staff. So it's a terrible problem because they don't have enough money, and without money, you can't fix it up and clean it and improve it. There's no money to train staff. There's no mental health training. It's a terrible problem. But to your question, they all look about the same. It's like a $10 bill or 2 5s. You still got $10. They're all broke and old, and they should be torn down and rebuilt.
I know we talked about this last time, but I think about like taxpayers. And I'm sure in New Orleans, maybe today, if you took a poll of who thinks that we need to upgrade the county jail because of what happened, there might be more people than there were a month ago that would be willing to foot the bill for that. But how do you effectively make the argument to a taxpayer in a place where they've never had to deal with a jailbreak or a fugitive in their neighborhood before to buy into these facilities needing to be upgraded?
You make it about their own self-interest. It's the reason we advocate for prison reform through our nonprofit at prisonprofessors.org, closing camps, work release programs. If you created victims and if it's nonviolent, you should be working and paying back the money. You've got to make it in their own self-interest. So the reason a higher percentage of the population would vote to spend their tax dollar for the prison is because they're concerned someone escaped. They could come to my home. They could kidnap me. They're going to hurt me. Suddenly it's about my own self-interest. Yes, I'm happy to use some of my money to rebuild. That's all. People need to recognize if people come home from prison without skills and the ability to work and live a law-abiding life, it is going to lead to communities that are not as safe. I mean, look at recidivism rates in this country. What, 60% of state prisoners go back, much of the time for violent crimes? It has to apply to people's self-interest. It's why so many more people would be in favor of upgrading the prison, because they don't want anyone to escape and show up at their front door.
Yeah, well put. Justin Paperny, prison consultant. It's always great to have you on Law and Crime. At this point, Antoine Massey and Derek Groves, both still at large. 8 of the inmates, though, have been brought back into custody. We appreciate your time. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
That will do it for On the Case, presented by Law and Crime. Subscribe to us on YouTube and Spotify. I'm Chris Stewart. We'll see you next time.